What if? How much is hidden in between these two words? How many possibilities in the space of a breath? What if? Science, information, communication, environment, societies. The world is changing in so many ways that we couldn't have imagined. It seems that in the blink of an eye, everything that surrounds us is turning faster and faster. But change is also transforming. To transform, from the Latin transformare, means not only to form, but to form beyond, crossing the present and making shape of the future. And what's the future? If not infinite possibilities, a blank page eager to be written with our story. So here we are, in this very moment, standing on the edge of great opportunity. What if? It was 1963 when a successful businessman in the tractor sector decided to make a leap into the super sport car field. His ambition? To create the perfect car. Someone said it was a bizarre choice, even a little crazy. History told a different story. His name was Ferruccio Lamborghini. What if he had not decided to trust in something? You might call it intuition, destiny, life, whatever. What if he had not followed that path? The world of the super sport car would not be the same. Moving forward, exactly 4 decades later, a group of young engineers from Silicon Valley made the ambitious bet to transform the mobility of the future. Today, we know they won it. Tesla Motors was a game changer in the history of the automotive. Once again, it's time to embrace the spirit of our brand, to project ourselves always a step ahead, with the courage to follow the sparkles along the way, even if they lead us off the well-known path. A path that for us means a new segment of the market, the bolt actions. Why so? Because we will complete Benelli's range of products for hunting activity. Because we will enter a market segment that is growing more and more. Because we will do it in Benelli style, with the knowledge we have and the passion to always do something new. Our aim? Reaching the unknown to offer the best performance. So, what's inside these 2 little words? Imagination, wonder, future, everything. And now, come on, follow me, let's discover this new frontier.
To enter the bolt action market means for Benelli to enter a new dimension. To meet a big new challenge with the cautiousness of being a newcomer, but with the power of its own ideas. Ideas that arise from our minds, from the will to create something different. Because we believe that to be exclusive and performing means to be successful. Lupo is the reflection of the Benelli DNA, a completely new design bolt action, equipped with all the Benelli technological knowledge that I'm proud to introduce. Accuracy, comfort, modularity, style ergonomics, these are the main exclusive features of a Lupo. Benelli Lupo guarantees sub-MOA accuracy using quality factory ammunition. Thanks to the integrated accuracy system that engages the free-floating cryo barrel, the high-quality steel upper receiver, and the rigid aluminum chassis, that ensures higher stiffness, Lupo allows the perfect grouping. Upper receiver, bolt handle and barrel are finished with the ultimate best treatment, the enemy of corrosion, wearing and rust. The precise mechanical coupled together with the best treatment on the fluted bolt and the steel upper receiver makes the bolt cycle smooth and fast, providing to the shooter an eyes-on-eyes sensation during the bolt opening and closing. The new design adjustable trigger pull from 9.99 Newton to 20 Newton is clean and crisp and contributes to getting a fast and accurate shot. Featuring unmatchable ergonomics due to its chassis design, Lupo is the first and only bolt action allowing maximum modularity with 36 available positions. Easy to adjust in the trigger reach and the drop and cast, it's simple and fast to fit, according to the configuration of a human build. As well, the patented compact system minimizes the impact and the vibrations on the cheek. The flat, the raised, and the extra high interchangeable soft combs, combining with the shims, assure the right alignment with any scope. The patented progressive comfort system reduces the recoil on the shoulder. That means a better stability and faster and precise second target acquisition. But the stability does not end here. The combination between two different recoil pads and the spacers allow an easy and fast length of pull adjustment in 6 different length of pull configurations, from 350mm to 385mm. And what does a great fit mean? The best control and, of course, the best accuracy. The magazine is easy to load and fast to remove from the receiver, ensuring the precise fitting. Being a double-stack magazine, it's perfectly integrated in the design, without protruding from the receiver and avoiding any accidental fall. The features overview shows how Lupo is technological and performing. Progressive comfort, adjusting length of pull through different pads and spacers, soft interchangeable comb tech, ambidextrous safety with the third position that blocks the bolt, the perfect fitting to easily change the drop and cast, adjustable trigger in an integrated trigger guard, aluminum chassis and steel best treated upper receiver, fluted best treated bolt and bolt handle, free lag locking system, a wider top cartridge loading, double stack detachable magazine with 5 or 4 rounds according to the different calibers, air touch grip, and above all, 3D cryo barrel best treated. Lupo is available in 300 Winchester Magnum, 30-06 Springfield, 308 Winchester, 270 Winchester, 6.5 Creedmoor, and 243 Winchester, with barrel length of 22 inches for all calibers, but the 300 Winchester Magnum and the 6.5 Creedmoor with a 24-inch barrel. Dominant in all conditions, Lupo is built to deliver the expected unparalleled Benelli performance.
Lupo is the Italian name for wolf. Dominant, powerful, relentless. The wolf is the apex predator at the top of the food chain. Innate guardian of the balance of nature, it analyzes the hunting environment, looking for the weakest prey and allowing the healthiest animals to create future generations. As natural selector, it helps the ecosystem with its hunt from hundreds of thousands of years. To be a wolf means to be an expert hunter, ready to face any unfavorable situation and in total control of the land he dominates. So, what's Benelli Lupo? It's pure hunting DNA. And the next question is, how to share this value? The wolf, the environment, their story. These are the main elements of our communication strategy. The wolf that represents the soul of the hunter. The environment that is simplified, essential and stylized, giving a breadth to an evocative and elegant aesthetics, where the geometrical lines stand for Benelli precision, technical and innovation. In one concept, the Benelli style. And then there is the story we want to tell. Concerning the social media publishing plan, we will create a storytelling content made by videos and pictures connecting the hunting features of the wolf to the lupo and to the hunter who owns it through a carefully crafted narrative. We will release information every now and then, like a trail of breadcrumbs, creating expectation and thanks to the union of multiple channels. In fact, the social media will be supported by the website and contents together to create one big puzzle, the lupo.
According to this philosophy, we have created a special webpage. As you know, our website follows the brand guidelines and focuses on both the brand and the product. The landing page will take shape gradually, according to the contents released by the social media publishing plan. So, getting to know the features of Lupo will be a real discovery, a journey made step by step to unveil them in every detail. Once the journey is finished and the landing page too, it will be possible to download the brochure that includes many other features. All communication tools will be involved, contributing to draw a dynamic and captivating image. But in a visual world like ours, full of stimulus and fast information, how to be remembered? Emotions are the key. We need to amaze people, sticking in their memory, and we will do it by creating an atmosphere that surrounds the lupo, by emphasizing the new Benelli style, using the technological environment, by using a powerful headline that contains 3 messages. Owning the bolt action lupo means to be dominant. Dominant like the wolf in the hunting field. Dominant like the lupo itself. Dominant because whatever is the place or the situation, the hunter is always on target. Owning the lupo means to break the norm, moving towards the extraordinary, to be unique and distinctive with Benelli.
We are finally here ready to present the Lupo to the market, eager to introduce its unique technical features to hunters. But here is the challenge. How to explain Lupo's brilliant complexity given only 5-10 minutes and convince the customer to choose it? How to persuade the dealer to put it on the gun display? It's all about picking the right cards. And by this, we mean focusing on what makes the Lupo unique in the current market, describing simply but clearly its technical patents and benefits for hunters, and doing that with the support of a sample that it can hold will make all the difference. Let's have a quick overview of the Lupo's distinctive features. The progressive comfort system. If others offer special pads, we offer a complete system, the one and only on the market. The CompTech system, with the exclusive comp we propose on the Superbike Eagle 3, adapted to the Lupo stock. This is the best system available on the market to absorb the vibration on hunter's cheek. The perfect fitting for absolute modularity. If the hunter usually adapts to the rifle shape, with the Lupo is the bolt action itself, which adapts to the hunter's build. Last but not least, cryogenic system and best treatment. That means great ballistic performance at utmost resistance. From a market point of view, these are the most important selling points to determine the positioning in comparison with competitors. even though Lupo is really a concentration of technology, industrial patents, and premium features. What is the market size we are entering? The bolt action is the most important market in terms of volume. It has a broad market present worldwide, with numbers in consistent growth and great versatility of applications, from hunting and farming to long-range shooting. Every year, about 1.5 million hunters and shooters all over the world choose the bolt action. 80% of the market is in US, 12% in Europe, and the remaining 8% in the rest of the world. A huge and wide offer that we could classify in three big areas of the European market. Low-medium price, from 600 euro to 1,200 euro. Premium price, from 1,300 euro to 2,000 euro. Super premium price, more than 2,000 euro. Where does Benelli Lupo deserve to be positioned? Taking in consideration all its patented and unique features, Lupo will cover the premium bolt action market area. Our end user suggested price is about 1,750 euro to cover the high side of the premium bolt action market. So, our final customer target is the shooter looking for an innovative and unique bolt action and willing to invest in the Benelli value, a safe value. In fact, as all Benelli firearms, Lupo will be guaranteed with 10-year warranty on the mechanical part and 25-year warranty for components best treated. Another outstanding selling point. And now, a brief recap of the features of the Lupo. 6 caliber available, 5 or 4 round magazine, depending on the calibers, 22-24-inch barrel length, according to the calibers, M14x1 muzzle fretted cryo barrel, bolt tender, upper receiver, and barrel best treated, in a weight from 3.1 to 3.2 kilograms. We are ready to take your order starting today, within delivery within April 2021. Let's say there is no time to lose.
You know me. I'm not a fan of quotations, but this time I'm going to make an exception. Calling him a businessman would be reductive. Maybe one of the most visionary men of our time. Elon Musk said something inspiring about ambition. The first step is to establish that something is possible. Then, probability will occur. What if he had not believed in something more? Maybe SpaceX would not have literally reached the stars. So, you'll never know where your choices will lead you. What you can do is to follow the power of your ideas, with the confidence that maybe that probability will turn into a reality even more surprising than you could have ever imagined. We have a great challenge ahead of us, and we know we will succeed only if we will act as a team. So now it's up to you. Because when dreams become ambitions, that's the moment to create something special. Maybe I'm missing something. We thought of a nice challenge for you. For now, the only thing I can say is it will be so much fun. Stay tuned.